That's not gonna happen.
And that's your 2 cents?
No, I still got a little bit more to say.
Go ahead.
But if we do things like that, that will help us. Cause welcome to the Daily Thinker podcast, man. I'm your host, Gusto. I got my co-host with me, Chop.
Yes.
He's here.
Most definitely.
Most definitely. And this podcast is for all my people who are interested in sports, theology, and apologetics, and so much more. But in this episode, we're going to dive in. What's going on in our country? Mm-hmm. The craziness, the madness.
Yeah.
The anger.
The revolution.
The hatred that's going on in this country. That's what we're going to talk about. And so George Floyd has been put to rest. Mm-hmm. They had his, the funeral didn't happen yet, did it? It already happened. Yep. Okay, it already happened. Because, you know, it's some conflicting information going around. I'm saying that it's going to happen on the 9th or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I saw the memorial already happen. And I know Steven Jackson, I think he went on Fox Sports the same day George Floyd had his funeral, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just so much misinformation going on, man, in this social media society, this social media world. Yeah. But anyway, what's your thoughts that what's been going on? I know it's just crazy. People are still protesting. Mm-hmm. People, I never seen this before. Yeah. Like I never, ever saw it. Seen nothing like this before. If you've seen something like this before, you comment it in the comments and let us know. Because I ain't seen it before. I ain't seen it, y'all.
Like, you know,
the type of world we living in, man. I haven't seen it. I'm just so shocked.
Well,
but it's good though. It's good. It's good.
I mean, the Bible tell you is nothing new under the sun.
Oh yeah, nothing new. So Ecclesiastes, if you didn't know that, yeah, he know it.
Like, you know, this ain't the first protest, and it won't be the last protest. It ain't the first. Sad part. It ain't the first racially motivated protest, and it won't be the last. I seen lots of research being posted here lately. And see, we weren't alive when the civil rights movement was going on. Mm-hmm. But this is just our generation's civil rights movement. I feel like this is our generation's civil rights movement. And I've been hearing lots of different things from different age groups. I hear lots of older black people saying they don't really like the protests and what's going on. You know, they feel like young people are doing it wrong and being violent and whatnot. But I had an interesting conversation with my parents, and my parents.
Hold on, what you just said? You said being violent.
Yeah.
It's like the protesters are violent, but what happened to George Floyd wasn't violent. Right. You don't hear that many people talking about what the officer did was violent. I mean, I'm not saying that nobody's saying that, but you don't hear as much as you hear the protesters are violent. Mm-hmm. They are this, they are that. Instead of pointing at these officers and saying that they are violent, they are violent, and what they did was wrong. So and that's just, I'm just like, oh man, I'm just through with it.
Well, and I get where the older generation is coming from, because again, they lived through the civil rights movement with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So his main thing was peaceful protest. But from what I've been seeing, majority of the protests we've been having in this time have been peaceful. Mm-hmm. Of course, it is some, what would you call them, provocateurs mixed in with the peaceful protesters.
Mixed in.
Trying to cause friction.
And division. And chaos.
But we got to understand, like I was speaking with my parents, and my parents said this to me. We got to understand that we can't talk down on the youth. And right now we're the youth. The ones out protesting right now, you know, hats off to everybody that's doing it, because you fighting for change. Yeah. You understand? And my dad was just basically saying he'll never talk down on young black people who's trying to stand up and do something that's right. You know, the older generation, in his opinion, he was saying some of them, they weren't doing anything. Yeah. You know, after so much time had passed from the civil rights movement, they stopped doing, you know? And now this next generation is stepping up trying to right some wrongs. You understand? And that's not dismissing anything that the older generation did in the past, but again, we just have to move forward. You know, like how their time is moving on. These young folks nowadays that's protesting, these celebrities like NBA players and rappers.
Right, you see Steph Curry out there. You see Russell Westbrook today.
Right.
And lead the whole thing, him and DeMar DeRozan.
With Kendrick Lamar, I think.
Oh, Kendrick was there. I ain't see Kendrick forever. You know, he been hiding. I'm waiting on him to drop some music or something. But
I think he was there, they said. Yeah. But along with them, just like the common lay people, like right here in Jackson, Mississippi, I saw a whole bunch of Jackson State students.
Right. Huge protests. I mean, the whole street was flooded. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. Right. I didn't attend the protest, though. Right. I didn't attend the protest.
Well,
but I seen pictures. Working. I seen pictures from the protests, and it was amazing. There's a whole bunch of people there. I really wasn't expecting that from Jackson, because I really never seen nothing like that happen in Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah. But seeing that happen in Jackson, Mississippi, seeing people come together and really stand for a real cause, man, it was crazy.
Well, I think this is kind of like a black renaissance going on, but it's not just necessarily for black people. And by that, I mean, you're seeing some of everybody come in and come together, because it's really a humanity thing. You know, even though it's the oppression of black people, we're seeing people from different races join in and help fight for our cause. Yep. And that's what's really important. So
because this is my first time I ever, I ain't been living that long. I'm not like 50 years old or nothing. Right. But this is my first time ever. And looking back at history, I never seen this many white people really gather in and protest like they're doing, like standing with us. I never seen that before, and that's why I think, man, a change is coming, man. Because it seems like people just fed up. People of all races are fed up with the bull job that's going on in our judicial system and in America. Like, people tired of it. And so seeing like people protest in Berlin and France and so many different places across the country. I mean, I never seen nothing like that over an event that happened in America. People in Iran are protesting. Right. And so it's bringing more awareness to like a global suffering that's going on. Because now other countries are speaking out about their oppression, and they're protesting about their oppression. They're like, man, Americans being oppressed and all this, man, we being oppressed too. So they standing with us and they fighting for their causes where they live. Right. And so it seemed like, man, maybe some good can come out of this, man. But who knows? I hope I think some good will come out of these protests and out of what's going on. And I hope it don't just die down like 3 weeks from now. You know, that's the part I'm kind of scared of. You know, I'm kind of scared that after all this pass through and the hashtags become not cool no more, and the Blackout Tuesdays are through, and all these support black businesses are through, are we really gonna be able to stand with each other like we were doing these times? Yeah. And so that's why I hope we are able to do something like that, though. But who knows, man? I definitely think we're going to be able to stand with each other after these current events.
Well, you know, the thing is, to answer the question you raised, will a positive change come from this? I think so, because, you know, back during the civil rights protests, when all those peaceful protests, when the pictures and the videos got out of what was being done to black people in the South, I think that's when more white people really saw, oh dang, like,
yeah, that's when the whites
that's what they doing to those black people
from the West and the North.
Like, it's not they scared of black people, like they literally sick and attack dogs on black people. So when you really just get to see something, like, you know, like everybody, we buy shoes and whatnot. But then how many of us would still buy these shoes if you actually saw who was making the shoes? You know, the poor kids in the other countries, actually see them slaving, you know what I'm saying? Slaving, working for 10 cents an hour to make your fresh $200 pair of shoes. Then it's like, oh, it becomes more real. So back in the 60s, when the civil rights movement was going on, yeah, people knew black people was oppressed, but I think they still had that feeling of just like, well, I mean, I'm not too racist or whatnot, or I don't treat black people wrong. I don't attack them. But when you see those actual images, you like, dang, all they doing is walking. So a change had to come, and then that's why they passed the Civil Rights Act. Right. So I feel like with these protests, even though Brother Floyd has been laid to rest, and they had his memorial, I think I saw, what's that guy name? Big time guy, name slipping.
Big time guy.
Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton.
I wanted to say
okay.
Jesse Jackson, and Jesse Jackson was in attendance, but Al Sharpton, he spoke eloquently. And my thing is, I just feel like something's going to get passed and a change will come. But we as black people, like you said, once it becomes boring or once we grow tired of all the hashtags.
And once it's like it stopped becoming cool, stop being cool, are we going to still do what we need to do?
We just got to see it through to the end, because the thing about black people, we're very emotional people.
Yep.
You know, even though somebody could do us wrong, we saw George Floyd being murdered on camera. So we're very emotional. We're fired up about that. We saw Ahmaud Arbery being murdered on camera. We very fired up about that.
We saw Breonna Taylor get shot in her own home.
Well, and we fired up. We upset over that. And we seen, even heard the Trayvon Martin all the way back to that. You know, so the thing is, we got to see it through to the end. The protests are continuing, I feel, because even though the officers have been arrested, we still need convictions. If you and I commit a crime, you best believe they're going to see that through to the end.
Right, and that's why I want to stop you right there. And, you know, a lot of people always bring this up. They say this right here. Well, blacks, y'all don't go have a march when Tommy get killed in the hood. Mm-hmm. But when Tommy get killed in the hood, his murderer go to prison for life. 25 plus years.
First 48.
Oh, they going to find him. They going to find him. I promise they going to find us and they going to put us in jail. That we get put in jail for, 10 grams of marijuana, stuff like that. And so it's not just about the killing. It's about not getting justice.
Broke down to the science.
And so it's like, I'm like, it's just crazy. It's not even about the killing no more.
Right.
It's about, hey, can we just get justice at a point? Mm-hmm. Like, people tired of not getting justice. Like, you can't kill nobody and just go home free.
But we have to be careful not to get distracted, because like our brother David Banner said, sometimes us as black people, we get distracted so easily. Such as, I'm sure you heard what Drew Brees came out and said. Yeah. Next thing you know, the narrative shifted from George Floyd
to Drew Brees.
And that's what hate on Drew Brees.
And right, that's what to me, that's what the media doing. Mm-hmm. The media gonna continue to run with any story they can, because that's what they do. They the media. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, we do media here, and we try to run with stories that we like.
And even though it was still technically, us black people was upset because Drew Brees didn't seem to understand that it wasn't about the American flag. It was about black people being unjustly brutalized and murdered. Right. But the narrative still shifted. People forgot all about trying to even get a conviction for George Floyd, and it became, we gotta just cancel Drew Brees, cancel the New Orleans Saints. Whoa. It's not about the NFL. Right. Like you'll have time to.
Even though I would say his timing was wrong, it was wrong timing.
It was definitely wrong.
If he said this 3 months ago, he wouldn't got no backlash like this.
You don't
to
think?
Be honest, I don't think he would have got backlash if he said this 3 months ago. I definitely believe it.
I mean, the timing was horrible, definitely too, because it's at the end of his career. But my thing is, you just got to be more conscious than that. I mean, if a person gets murdered, Drew, and he came out and apologized to his credit, and I accept his apology, but I mean, a person gets murdered and your first response isn't, oh man, that was messed up what happened to George Floyd. But his first response, his first words was, I'm just never okay with anybody disrespecting the flag. I didn't even see an American flag in the video of George Floyd getting murdered. So Drew Brees, I'm not sure what the reporter asked him, but it wasn't about the American flag.
It was just a baited question to me, just to get a sound bite, and he got the sound bite he wanted. He got a great sound bite. Well, and the thing about
that's why you got to be careful.
You got to be careful. He wasn't conscious about what he was saying, and he was insensitive to what was going on. And to me, really, he didn't understand what was going on. So it was kind of good that he said this, because now he got a better understanding of what's going on.
I honestly feel it's just hard for white people to understand. Unless you've ever had a gun placed in front of your face.
If you ain't never been through that struggle, man, it's hard for you to understand.
If you haven't had several police officers pointing their gun at you in your face, then you don't know what that feels like. If you ain't never worked on a job and worked as hard as you could for your boss, and then had that boss turn around and try to set you up with the police, then you're not gonna get stuff.
That
like
happened
that.
to you? It happened to you?
That's a story for another time.
That happened to him. You know? I gotta hear this story, man. But we ain't gonna talk about it right now. That happened to you.
Not this episode, but
okay.
I got some stories to tell.
Black in America.
But I mean, look, like that's what we face it. If you never been on a job and just had people just lie on you just because they think you doing something wrong. Oh well, he's black. He must sell drugs. He must smoke weed. I mean, then you're not gonna get it. So,
right.
And I'll just say this in Drew Brees' defense, I don't think he's racist, but I honestly just feel he's ignorant.
Yes, that's it.
And I think, and then people get upset. Oh, you're defending the white guy. Calm down.
Right.
And then white people get upset. Oh, he called me ignorant. Well, ignorant just means you don't know.
No. Because you don't know.
Because I don't think he's stupid.
I don't think he's stupid at all.
And then you're playing with all these great black athletes, so you can't just be that stupid. So you have to just be ignorant about what's really going on in the world. For you not to see that, because especially with NFL players and even NBA players, because his name escapes me, but the Milwaukee Bucks star that got beat up by the police.
And Savalosha. And they tried to pay him off to drop the charges. Imagine if he wasn't an NBA player now.
Well, yeah, that happened to Cephalosha when that nightclub fight happened. Yeah. He was with the Hawks, but I'm talking about.
Oh, you talking about? Oh my goodness,
yeah,
Brown,
that Bucks player,
Brown.
Yeah,
and he got.
I was like, I mean, come on now. But think about it, and that happened to an NBA player. Now, although he don't play that much for the Milwaukee Bucks, NBA players you see they face a lot. So. I like the fact that NBA superstars are stepping up and protesting too, but with a Russell Westbrook, you will probably recognize him,
right?
If you're a basketball fan. Yeah. A LeBron James, you probably gonna recognize him, but a guy in the NFL who always have his helmet on, unless you're a quarterback, like most regular people might not recognize a Michael Thomas, a Alvin Kamara, a Tariq Cohen. You know what I'm saying? Deshaun Jackson. And those some of the bigger names. But if you maybe say somebody else, Jabril Peppers for the New York Giants, he's a star, but you see him walking down the street. Because NFL players, majority of them aren't 6'8", 6'9", so you don't automatically just think, oh, he's a pro athlete. You might just think that's a big, strong, crazy black man. Like that's what America is. So for Drew Brees to say that, yeah, it was just ignorant. I honestly think he didn't know no better.
He didn't.
But now is the time for him to be educated and to use his platform and his influence as a white man in America and as a political figure now, because his statements was very political, to make change and make it better for black people in America. And
also the statement he made, you saw the statement he made to Trump saying he's going to stand with, he going to stand with us basically.
Most definitely.
The whole message. So a lot of people not trying to forgive him at all though.
Well, and some black people get mad when you say Christian values such as you have to forgive. Because my thing is, if you can't forgive a person that you living on in this world with, then how is your Father in heaven gonna forgive you?
And we all know.
We all done things we not.
We all know we misspoken. Mm-hmm. We did things that we don't like. We done did things in the dark.
Now, if you ain't never misspoke before,
come on, man.
If you ain't never been ignorant before, if you ain't never said something out of anger, if you ain't never lost your temper, if you ain't never done anything wrong in your life,
if you never fell for bait.
Then you have a reason to criticize.
And sometimes we just throw out
and not forgive.
Sometimes we just throw out the book and be like, you know what? I'm gonna be God today, man.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be God today. And I'm mad because I'm suffering. Which you can be. You should be mad at yourself.
You should be mad.
Definitely should be mad.
And I'm not saying don't be mad at Drew Brees. I'm not saying don't hold him accountable for what he said. But people that's just like expletive Drew Brees and cancel him forever. People, what if God canceled us forever?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to give people the change, okay?
If he counseled you for your sins forever.
If this the first thing Drew Brees and did wrong to you as a black person, like, all I'm saying is lighten up. I'm not saying just let him off the hook, but he came out, he apologized twice, and he's promising to work on it. So
come on,
like at some point you gotta accept forgiveness.
Yeah, I think we should be kind of proud of him that he's willing to learn, willing to sit down and listen, because that's what more whites need to do. And so we should be like giving him like a little hand clap, give him a little hand clap.
I mean,
for what he's done, because I mean, he spoke his heart, and his heart revealed that he need to get some things fixed.
Yes,
and that's just like with everybody. Sometimes we speak our hearts,
or white.
Yeah, we speak our hearts, and we're wrong, and we get corrected, and we fix it. And that's what Drew Brees is doing right now. So, hey, I'm kind of glad that he even made that statement, because so he can see the spots that he didn't see. Now he see those spots, and he's taking care of those spots, filling those spots in. And so I like that.
Well, I got a question for you though. So in light of all of this, with the upcoming NFL season, it's about 100 days away, 99, 98 days away, maybe 97 days away. Yeah, I do.
Count. I don't.
Do you think that NFL players will take a knee this upcoming season for the national anthem?
I definitely think NFL players would take a knee this upcoming season. And for those who don't take a knee, I definitely feel like they're going to get a whole bunch of backlash, especially if you're black. Now, I do feel like a whole bunch of whites will participate in taking a knee. Not all of them, some of them just off of straight conviction. Like, got to do it, just see what's going on. Because this was a traumatic event, man. It really changed the mindset and the landscape of America, really. And sports, and how people react, and how people protest and things like that. And so now I feel like NFL players definitely will take a knee during these games. And I feel like, hey, you know what? It won't be no backlash at all, because you got people like Roger Goodell. He coming out, he making a statement. Now, if you make a statement like this, and people got to protest now, you can't be mad that people protest. And so that's why I feel like people gonna protest, because people making statements now. And hey, we ain't gonna forget about these statements you making now. We gonna hold you accountable for these statements, Roger Goodell. So when somebody protests, I don't want to see them blackballed.
And
I don't.
And that's the thing I was going to say to you. The DN for the Chicago Bears, Akeem Hicks, he came out and said, if he takes a knee, then that's his career. That's his livelihood. That's his playing days over. His playing career is over. So I guess my question to you is, do you honestly feel like it won't be any backlash? Because Colin Kaepernick to this day still isn't signed by an NFL team. And my thing is, just with these big time companies, people coming out making statements and whatnot. But let's face it, like we talked about on the last episode, it's real easy for us to get on social media and I'm gonna post an all black picture. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I don't take nothing.
I stand with black people.
You can do this. You literally can just do this. You get your phone, take that little black picture on some black clothes.
So
Blackout Tuesday. You know what that is.
So it's easy to say that. My thing is what actually are you gonna do? Because I don't know if you've noticed, and I understand they're dealing with a pandemic, but I haven't heard Dr. Fauci speak out about this. And this is the biggest thing that didn't happen to America since the COVID-19. I haven't heard Bill Gates, the guy that's supposedly, I don't know if he's a scientist or not. He
know everything about human life and know how to make humans dwell together in unity.
But apparently he's coming up with a vaccine. I haven't heard him speak on this. And I guess my question is, do you feel like it's going to be backlash if players do take a knee? Because, like I say, it's easy for Roger Goodell to say that. Also, do you feel like black people should trust somebody like a Bill Gates, who's rich and powerful, supposedly coming up with a vaccine, supposedly an expert on the COVID-19, but yet I haven't heard anything from him or Dr. Fauci about all the protests going on?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that. What was the question again about the NFL?
Do you think NFL players will be blackballed? Because it's one thing to make a statement, but we all remember how they reacted when players started taking a knee. Like I say, Colin Kaepernick still doesn't have a job. Now, you say you believe players will take a knee, but do you think they will be blackballed or punished in some way?
No, I don't think they'll be blackballed or punished. Like I said.
No fines.
No fines. Because he made that statement. Now you got to stand behind that statement. If you don't stand behind that statement, people going to call you out. People going to call you out. You say you stand with the black community, all this, but now I'm protesting. Now you're trying to blackball me. Now I'm getting fined and doing this and doing that. So your statement was false. And it's going to have a bad image on the NFL. To me. That's my opinion.
Okay.
On that issue. So I feel like people are going to protest with no backlash.
Now, Doctor.
Well, backlash from people in the community, people who stand for the Confederate flag, those type of backlash. But backlash from like NFL circuits, I still feel like it's NFL owners who are mad at what's going on, who don't want people to protest.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Roger Goodell, you got to go with what he says. And so if they're going to protest, I feel like he's going to have to stand for it just because of the statement that he made.
Well, remember now, Roger Goodell, he doesn't work even for the people. He works for the NFL owners. The owners are the ones who pay Roger Goodell. So he actually does whatever the owners say do.
True.
So they're the ones who really control who gets blackballed, who gets fined, and whatnot. But my other question, do you think it's strange that we haven't heard, like, we obviously heard from the president and we see where he stands on the issue. But do you think it's strange we haven't heard from Dr. Fauci? Because these protests, this is a lot of people walking in close proximity of each other during a pandemic. We haven't heard from him. We haven't heard from Bill Gates, the guy supposedly coming up with a vaccine.
Okay, so what you're saying, should we trust Fauci? Should we trust these people who's coming up with these vaccines and all that?
Yeah, should we trust him to inject us with something? And yet they're not issuing any statements in support of Black Lives Matter, in support of black people. Yet these are the same people that say they want to come up with a vaccine and test them out.
Now I would say this, and whatnot. Just like it says, just like the Bible says in Psalms 146 verse 3, don't put your trust in princes or in human beings who cannot save. So I know I'm not putting my trust in them at all because they can't save. And so they can talk smart. Just because somebody who speaks these eloquent words and all these can put big words together and make it sound so good, that don't mean they know what they're talking about.
Right.
That's what Paul said. Paul said, I'd rather say one word than 1,000 words. He said, I didn't come speaking to you with such strange speech, all these eloquent words. I told you the straight truth, straight up, what's going to happen. And so, no, I'm not going to put my trust in them. And they definitely not speaking up about what's going on. I definitely think I was going to see them more talking about like, well, I don't even know what Bill Gates came. He's all of a sudden a health worker for some reason.
And I just feel like my thing is, I feel like
we got billions of dollars. You can do what you want.
When you're rich, people just automatically assume you know
what you're talking
about, no matter what the subject is. And I understand they have the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation and test out stuff in Africa and whatnot. But my just one statement on Black Lives Matter. That's all. Just one statement.
Yeah.
I mean, even Amazon CEO.
To be honest, I'm not looking for them to issue a statement. Mm-hmm. I'm not. Yeah. I really don't care if they issue a statement. Mm-hmm. That's just me. Okay. To be honest, I didn't really care if any of these corporations issue a statement because it's good to see that these corporations supposedly support the cause of what's going on and the inhumane activities that's been happening in the black community and all the deaths and all the violence that was set up on people like us. So, I mean, it's good for people to have a statement. But at the end of the day, I just want to see some action, man. Right. I want to see what these people really going to do. Just like go back to this Roger Goodell thing. And so if they going to protest, they should not get fined, not get blackballed, because people make a statement that talking about I stand in solidarity with so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. But when it's really time to stand in solidarity, because anybody can make an Instagram post, man. Right. Anybody can issue a statement. I mean, there's so many people who can write so much great words and put them together for you. He probably didn't write that himself. Yeah. But I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to question if somebody wrote something. If he said he wrote it, he wrote it. He said he issued a statement. So you know what? I'm not going to test them like that. But anyway, people saying stuff like that, they're going to have to stand what they saying.
Right.
At the end of the day. And that's just how I feel about it. You're going to have to stand what you're saying, man. Because if you're not, we know you're not with us, and we know you faking, and we know those things that you issue wasn't real. And then it's gonna be really hard to really gain back people's trust after stuff like this. And so sometimes I just think, man, they're rich, they're billionaires. What's $100 million to a black community? It won't hurt them.
Well, and also then to my next question, I think what people fail to realize, and I'm not saying these people don't have genuine hearts in donating.
I don't know nobody's heart.
But I don't know anybody's heart. But with the donations, I want to know, how are we going to actually see these donations put to helping fight racial injustice?
Right? How are we going to see the fruits of these donations?
Because these donations are actually tax write-offs for the rich.
Yeah, you see that a lot.
Lots of lay people don't know that, but when you make these donations, those people are actually making money off of that. It's a tax write-off. And my thing is, I don't have a problem with that, but like you say, how are we going to actually see the benefits of this? Like, it's easy to say, I'm going to donate all this money to so-and-so, but we know of plenty of corporations that came out that they was ripping off people. People was donating, and they weren't even using the money for the actual purpose of the organization.
They wasn't using the money for the cause.
Exactly. I mean, I remember a couple years ago, it came out about the Wounded Warrior Fund, that people was ripping off money out of the Wounded Warriors for America's veterans. You know, come on now.
Right. And
so I just feel, I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, what do we need to do as black people in order to move on from this?
First of all, I'm not an expert. I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to act like I got all the answers.
In the words of Charles Barkley, none of us are experts. Only God is the expert, Ernie.
Yeah, he's an expert. He's
Only
perfect.
God
Ain't
is the
nobody
expert.
perfect at all. But I will give my 2 cents on this. I feel like we
Give
do
you
need
2 cents and 10 cents.
10 cents. You know, I could give some dollars.
Give us $1 then. $1.50.
But this right here,
$2.
for real, if we as black people really come together in unity, as we've been seeing over the past week, start having a black dollar circulate around our community.
Okay.
Like, you can even look back to Black Wall Street. I mean, the black dollar was circulating around 30 times before it left. And now the black dollar only circulates 6 hours before it leaves. So it's about, are we going to emphasize our dollars in our community and help our communities grow like they did in Black Wall Street? Because I guarantee you, if we build another Black Wall Street, they're not going to tear it down this time. I don't think that's going to happen. That's not going to happen.
And that's your 2 cents?
No, I still got a little bit more to say.
Go ahead.
But if we do things like that, that will help us. Because it's just all about growing economically to get out of these things. That's why the Bible says money is the answer to all things. That, I mean, it says that in Ecclesiastes. I'll put it right here so y'all can go look at it right on the screen. But yeah, that's what it says. And so if we can just really push the black dollar and really help our communities, and we're going to be able to grow, build better schools, have better roads, things of that nature. Because even look at the roads, man. People are affected by the roads. They're tearing up your tire, tearing up your car. You got to take out money to fix that, and you're not. And let's be honest, everyone is not going to a black dealership to get their cars fixed. I mean, it's not happening. And so it's just really looking out for one another, not talking down on one another, or thinking that we're better than one another, not just trying to be in competition with each other.
Get our nose out there.
Right.
Stop being self-righteous.
We don't have to just be in competition with each other all the time. That's the problem, man. We be in competition too much. Like, you see somebody rapping, you see somebody doing good, and now you're saying, man, okay, you know what? I got to get in front of him. Instead of asking him, man, how can I help you? How can you help me? What can I learn from you? You know what? I don't know how to shoot videos. Can you help me learn how to shoot videos? Can you help me learn how to mix my music? Things like that. And so that's what we need to do. Talking about other people standing in solidarity with us. We need to stand in solidarity with each other. Real talk. And that's going to really help us and push us to the next level in this country. If we're going to be able to stand together, man, because, man, a house divided cannot stand, man.
Facts.
And so if we continue to be divided as black people or colored people in this country, whatever the label they put on us, because, man, it's so many different labels.
Oh, I don't think we refer to ourselves as colored anymore.
Right. Colored, melanated, whatever you want to say. I like melanated a little better. More so for women. I think that fit women better. Like, I got a melanated,
Right.
Well, you know.
Well, I'm glad you just mentioned the black woman. So give me your thoughts on this. And of course, this was sparked by the tragic death of brother George Floyd. But
if you finna ask me what I think you finna ask me,
I was just going to ask
you really finna ask me.
Just I want to get you. I want to get your 15 cents, your 20 cents on this.
Okay,
Speak on the state of the black woman in America and the disrespect that she takes at the hands of the black man and other races.
Man, black women.
Just give me your thoughts on that.
Black women in this country are treated horrible, like 10th class citizens. Real talk. Even by us, how we demean them, make them sexual.
Talking about us, black men.
How we make them sexual objects, and we just look at them for lust and look at them to be used, and don't try to lift them up to be in power. Or whenever they're in power, we are intimidated. Because when black women are in power and doing things like that, like having a business, stuff like that, we get intimidated by a strong black woman most of the times. And just imagine a white male, he's going to definitely be intimidated by a black woman. Mm-hmm. And so this happens, and I see this. You have the black woman and you have the black male. Mm-hmm. If the black male can continue to uplift the black woman and help her become a better woman, then the black woman will help the black man become a better black man. But we see this in our music, the degrading of our women. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's crazy. And now we listen to their music all day.
True.
And I'm not saying like I don't listen to their music. I used to listen to their music a lot. I mean, just how you grow up, you listen to that. And then music puts a vision, pictures in your head. And so when you see these women, that's how you react to women. You treat them like, you call them B's and H's and treat them like this and like that. And it ends up having a negative impact on our community in general. And so if we can just treat them better, because like this even came out, the woman who recorded George Floyd's death, I don't know if this is true or not, but she's dealing with emotional trauma of seeing what happened and people calling her out for not helping. This is a 17-year-old woman.
Right.
I mean, 17-year-old girl, like what's she supposed to do at this point? I definitely heard a male's voice in that video, in that recording. Get off him, bro. Yeah. But yet we steady attack the woman every single time. And that needs to stop.
And tell me, do you feel that's part of the systematic? I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it must have been implemented during slavery or maybe before then. But do you feel that's part of systematic racism in order how us black men try to tear each other down, but also how us black men, I guess, feel intimidated, sometimes you say, by a black woman. And so we try to keep her down. Do you feel like that's systematic racism? That's
a good question. To answer that, I really don't know if there's systematic racism. I really don't know on that point. Yeah. I haven't done that much research to know that. So I don't try to speak on things I don't know. Right. You feel me? So if you know something about that, you can definitely educate me right now in this moment about that, because I really don't know much about it.
And I was just asking, not trying to put you on the spot. I was just asking to get your thoughts. Yeah. But I just was thinking about that. Like, so what really is systematic racism? Because it's like we obviously know what racism is. Like the murder of George Floyd, that's racism. Mm-hmm. Like black people aren't just getting lynched, but I mean being killed by the police. That's the new form of lynching.
The new form of lynching.
You know what I'm saying? But systematic racism, such as like redlining or making it hard for black people to get certain loans to open a business and whatnot, making it hard for black people to get into certain schools. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? To where I forget the young woman's name, but she lied on her proof of residency in order to get her black child into a better school. She wound up getting sentenced to 5 years in prison. But then the actress Felicity Huffman lied and paid off people to get her daughter into a big time college. I think it was USC. And she served like 6 weeks in jail, maybe less than that, 6 days in jail, I think. So, you know, that to me, that's systematic racism. Also, like what you spoke on earlier, just with the 10 grams or whatever of marijuana,
that is
and spending 20 years in prison for nonviolent crimes, systematic. But it just got me to thinking, so who just taught us the hate of the black women? Because I would think for the most part, black men, we love our moms, we love our grandmoms, because they are the ones that help take care of us growing up, you know? And obviously, systematic racism, we could speak on the fact how people living in Section 8 housing or getting government assistance, the reason they get that is because they don't have a black male in the household. So that kind of, I'm not saying it makes people want to not have a black male in the household, but that kind of breaks up the black family. Whereas if you got a single mother with the more kids she get, the more government assistance she get, but she can't have that male figure living with her in the house. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I was just asking to get your thoughts on that. But I honestly don't know myself. It's just something I'm curious about.
I feel like you really just explained it right there. Maybe we can get somebody on who really knows about this. Really knows about the red, really, because I know a little bit about Redline, but I don't know that much.
Right.
If I know a little bit about things, I don't like to speak on it.
Oh, of course not, because we're not into putting out false information.
Right, I don't want to put out false information. I don't want to seem like the guy that knows everything, because I don't.
Right.
Like I hate when I see that when people think they know everything and all that.
Because I just want to know
talk about this though.
What or who made us dislike black women like that? And the last thing I guess I want to say about
or
that,
even dislike ourselves.
Dislike ourselves.
Like we don't like our hair. We don't like our lips, our nose.
Well, like
you saw that coming up. Because people, they put in place pictures of people who didn't look like us and said, this is the beauty.
And that's subliminal messages. That's why, like in our household, we don't have any pictures of white Jesus up. Now, it's not important what Jesus looked like.
Right. I don't care what color he was. I'm still going to have to serve him. I mean, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I want to serve him. And I'm going to serve him. But when you put up a picture and say, this is God, and people see that all the time, then subliminally in your mind, you think, oh, so that's God. That's God, and I don't look like him, so automatically that makes you think less of yourself. Now,
and that's nonsense. You see that all the time. You see like the white guy hand reaching out, touching Adam's finger. Like, this is blasphemy, man. God is nothing like that at all. And those are the type of images we keep in our head, and that's what we think of God. So if God, the creator of the universe, must be like this, dang, who am I then? I must be inferior.
Well, because my thing is, when you see a white picture that somebody says, this is God, this is Jesus, but we were created in God's image, and then you see that and you like, oh, I don't look like that. Then that makes you think, well, what was I created in? Subliminally, that's teaching people to hate themselves, I feel like. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you see that, yeah. I do agree.
But my thing is, you mentioned something about the rap music, and now I wouldn't want my daughter to grow up making twerking videos or whatnot, but the hypocrisy still remains. Growing up, you watching the music videos, you enjoy seeing the women twerking and whatnot, half naked. So my thing is, like, now in the rap game, you know, for so many years, male rappers have all these females half naked or completely naked, twerking, dancing, doing all type of debauchery in the videos, and we loved it.
Yeah.
But now the hypocrisy comes into play when you have somebody like Megan Thee Stallion, who or Cardi B, they celebrate the twerking, and I'm not justifying the twerking, but I'm also not condemning them for that. But they're making money off of the twerking, and we hear those same men who had these women in videos, women like that in videos, now they putting down on the female rappers. Why is that? Because the female rappers, I feel like they are just trying to capitalize and make money for themselves and not always just be objectified like you spoke on earlier. So to me, that seems like a form of hating. Again, I'm not saying I would want my daughter butt naked twerking in the video, because I wouldn't. Just flat out, I wouldn't. But do you see the hypocrisy where you have rappers who will objectify women in music videos? Then you have consumers like ourselves who will watch those music videos in the past and whatnot, for pleasure. But then now, even though we mature, we look at it and we see somebody like a Cardi B or a Megan Thee Stallion or I think they City Girls, JT and Young Miami.
Yeah, but let me just say this.
Speak on that.
What you're saying is so true. And hypocrisy is just in human blood.
Right.
For people to rebel and to say one thing and do another. It's just in human blood. And that's what we see a lot. And I can just speak on this myself. Like, you have people who like grow up and you watch porn. Mm-hmm. You grow up and you watch porn, you enjoy porn and all this. But as you get older, you realize it's wrong. But somehow you're still struggling with this porn thing.
Right.
But you're saying, you know what? I hate sex trafficking. But this very same thing that I hate, I love when I'm at home.
Ooh.
And so that's the hypocrisy that we play all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's the type of games that we play.
Yeah.
And so we look at things one way and we're doing it and we're like, oh man, this is so good, man. It's good. I love what I'm doing. It's so good. And then you see somebody else do it. You're like in a different form now. You be like, I hate this, man. I hate this. So the very single thing that I'm trying to destroy is the very single thing that I love. Mm-hmm. And that's the hypocrisy that we as humans tend to do in the being.
Yeah. Man.
Which is crazy.
Well, and I just think, and this is the last thing, I know we got to wrap up this show, but, and I agree with what you said. I just think that really lets you know that this is really a spiritual battle that we're fighting.
Spiritual, man. It's so much spiritual than fleshly, man.
And we really got to look inside ourselves, just like we spoke on Drew Brees earlier.
Right. We got to look inside our own hearts because we be judging people like our hearts are just pure. Like the heart is the most deceitful thing above all things. Who can know it? Yeah. Like you can't even know your own heart. That's how wicked our hearts are.
Exactly.
And so we try to examine other people and say, oh, you know
their
what?
Faults
find their faults when they misspeak. Ain't like Drew Brees murdered somebody in cold blood and walked away and didn't have no remorse. He misspoke about a subject.
Well, and my point to that is when I say we really just have to look inside ourselves and fight that spiritual battle, because again, it is still racism in America. It still is systematic racism. Now, I just feel we don't need to make this a complete black versus white thing, because it's not a black versus white thing.
It's not a black versus white thing. It's the people versus the system thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can't save the wicked system.
But there are definitely some evil white people out there.
Some evil black people.
That just hate us for whatever reason.
Yes, that's inherently taught in the home.
But my thing is, let's not get distracted and shift our narrative completely on trying to, I don't know what, blackball a pro athlete. Let's still focus on getting that justice for George Floyd, because as of right now, those officers, they've only been arrested and charged. Let's get the conviction.
Right.
You know,
let's
focus
all
on
the
that.
other black lives that have been murdered and
for the Breonna Taylors, for the Ahmaud Arbery's. And also, after we focus on that, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, going back to something I heard from David Banner, he said multitasking was one of the worst things introduced in America, because your mind really can't multitask. You really need to focus on one thing. Look, like while we doing this podcast, we're focused on this podcast.
On Instagram, scrolling and then
you know. So let's not try to multitask and focus on getting justice for brother Floyd, while also trying to tear down Drew Brees, a person who I think misspoke out of ignorance, while also trying to find something else to get upset with. Let's get the justice for brother Floyd. Then let's also try to watch ourselves and not get distracted. I know we love sports, and I believe we're going to be talking about sports on the next episode, but let's not get distracted by the sports and forget the issues that's going on in this country.
Right. That was so good. And even get distracted by our own lives and just think about what we're going through and not pray for those people who are in need, those people who are suffering, those people who really have to deal with these issues, like the Taylor family and the Floyd family and the Arbery family and so many other lives that have been lost from 1619 when we landed here to 2020, this present day where we're talking about. So many lives have been lost in that span of years. And so we can just be praying for that and praying for our people, praying for our leaders, and things like that. And I know as believers, a lot of us hate. I mean, not as believers, but as people, as brown people, black people, we hate Trump. It's just like we hate Trump. I'm not saying I hate Trump. I think Trump has some good policies in place, and sometimes I think he speaks foolishly a lot.
I mean,
most of the time,
I think he's an idiot. Honest truth, I think he's an idiot. I think he's a racist. I think he's an idiot. But
yes, I definitely have seen.
At the same
text.
time, we're not here to spread hate. We're here to educate. And I would just say to people out there, especially my black people, let's stop. Let's not take on the hate. Let's not reciprocate the hate. Now, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry, but let's continue to educate. People like a Drew Brees, who I feel are genuinely good people, let's educate them because they are ignorant, because they don't know what it's like to be black.
Right.
Let's not take that hate we getting from Trump and reciprocate it back to him and other people. Let's focus our energy on the people that want to be part of the solution. The Drew Breeses. It's some good white people out there. I'm just naming famous ones right now, but the J.J. Watts.
Right. The young lady who was out there protesting and got killed. A young white lady.
The young white girl whose video went viral of her blasting her own racist parents.
Right.
Let's continue to educate folks and work together to fix these problems in the country. And those people that's stuck in their ways, those Trumps, those whoever, let's make sure we get them out of office and get people in there who actually care about everybody in humanity. No matter whether you white, black, blue, pink, yellow. Let's vote the right people in. And like I say, let's not spread hate. Let's just educate.
Well said. I get that's it for this show, man.
Hey, put that on a t-shirt, somebody.
Yeah, put that on the t-shirt. Do you think they got that on the t-shirt already?
Let's get the copyright.
Okay, let's hurry up. Who's gonna pay for the copyright? Not me. I think he will. I think he want to pay for that copyright.
Hey, next episode though, we gotta talk about black superstar athletes going to HBCUs, and let's talk about the NBA coming back.
Okay, yeah, hey, well, that's a wrap, man. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Daily Thinking Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you took something from it. Just tell us how you feel in the comments. Should we forgive Drew Brees? What should we do as a black community to move forward? Mm-hmm. And what can we do as a people to stick together? So until then, Daily Thinkers, keep thinking, keep questioning, but most of all, keep trusting Christ Jesus. We are out of this thing, man. We'll see y'all later. We'll see y'all soon, man. Peace.
Y'all be safe out there. I think it would. Yeah, I wanted to wrap it up though, because it was getting close to an hour.
We kept on talking though.
Yeah, we did. My